Egypt, the Brotherhood has to come into play, right? One of the biggest organisations come out of Egypt. This week, speaking at 10 Downing Street, Prime Minister David Cameron ordered Whitehall officials to launch an investigation into the Muslim Brotherhood and its activities outside of Egypt. With more on this, here's Talha Ahmed.
Prime Minister David Cameron has said the Muslim Brotherhood's activities in Britain will be reviewed over concerns about possible links to violence. Speaking on Tuesday, the British Prime Minister widened pressure on the veteran Islamic movement currently facing a crackdown in various parts of the Arab world.
It's very important people understand that as a government we are obviously opposed to violent extremism, the violent extremism that we've seen on our streets, tragically in, for instance, that dreadful incident in Woolwich. But we're also a government that is opposed to extremism. We want to encourage people away from a path of extremism. We want to challenge the extremist narrative that some extreme Islamist organisations have put out.
The review will be led by John Jenkins, Britain's ambassador to Saudi Arabia. The Brotherhood and affiliated organisations and parties are part of the political landscape in many Arab and Islamic states where they have deep roots in society. Founded in 1928, the movement was founded by the Islamic scholar and teacher Hassan al-Banna in Egypt, and by the end of World War II, the Muslim Brotherhood had an estimated 2 million members. Driven underground, the group's leaders were tortured and imprisoned. With the fall of Hosni Mubarak in Egypt and other uprisings in 2011, the Brotherhood gained power and authority around the world. President Mohamed Morsi of the Brotherhood, the first democratically elected Egyptian president in the history of Egypt. Since his election, much has changed, and last summer he was deposed by the army in a military coup. Declared a terrorist organisation in Saudi Arabia and subjected to a wave of prosecutions and jailing in Gulf Arab kingdoms, wary of any spread of influence since the Arab Spring. There are a number of organisations in Britain influenced by the Brotherhood movement. A spokeswoman for David Cameron said the review would examine the philosophies and values of the Muslim Brotherhood and how it operated in different countries around the world, including the UK, as well as its impact on Britain's national security. Both the British domestic and foreign intelligence agencies, MI5 and MI6, would be consulted as part of the review. The government hopes the review will report findings by July. Talha Ahmed, The Report, Islam Channel.
Right, there you have it. MI5 and MI6 will be consulted during this investigation. Talha, can I come to you first? What have the Muslim Council of Britain said, and if they haven't said anything, why not?
I'm not sure if Muslim Council of Britain has said anything in the last, it's quite a recent development, but we have been in discussion with people and individuals and groups who are, broadly speaking, connected with the Muslim Brotherhood movement. But if you want our reaction, the bottom line is this. What Prime Minister has announced is, in my view, it's outrageous and it's very alarming, not least because everybody would support the idea that you want to explore a major movement, if you don't know about it. But if you look at the choices that he has made in terms of people who are going to lead it, that doesn't really inspire much of a confidence. So you've got the serving British ambassador in Saudi Arabia who would be heading it. You've got another former British ambassador who was very close to Mubarak regime, would be another member. You've got a former or current MI5 head who would also be one of the members. So when you look at all of these, it seems to me either of the two things or both. One could be that Saudi Arabia effectively pushed for something like this, or as well as government is really looking for excuses to go hard on Muslim Brotherhood. But if you look on the track record of this government, this shouldn't come as a surprise, because what this government is doing is it's shifting the goalposts from violent extremism to even ideas that they perceive to be extremist. And that, I think, is quite alarming.
One of the things that I heard there when Prime Minister David Cameron brought up Woolwich, I mean, isn't that quite dangerous rhetoric being used?
It's irresponsible, especially coming from Prime Minister, because for a start, Woolwich has nothing to do with Muslim Brotherhood in any way whatsoever. Even British commentators so far has not termed Muslim Brotherhood as an organization that even have the slightest of link with violent extremism. So the development that we have seen over the last few days in relation to this is quite extraordinary and very, very alarming.
Nasim,
yeah, I agree with a lot of what's been said. And what struck me is Cameron saying that he wants to take the narrative of the terrorists head on and undermine the narrative. But if Britain was to go the way of Saudi Arabia and prescribe the Brotherhood here, make them illegal here and around the world as well, what that does is actually pays into the terrorists, and a lot of the Muslims who actually see the democratic process as a way to get into politics. And we know that going into politics is a way to moderate some of the extreme elements. So now some of these Muslims will feel that, no, we've tried the democratic path, like Hamas had tried before, like we had in Algeria, now with the Brotherhood. So there is this narrative within a lot of the Muslims that, no, we tried the democratic process many, many times, and every single time Western governments, through their support, we are undermined, we are not allowed to continue with a mandate, constitutional mandate. So this is like the third, fourth time it's happened. So this is, if anything, reaffirming the terrorist position. So this is totally going against what Cameron himself is trying to do, which is undermine the terrorist narrative. It's not doing that.
Even at a very basic level, Muslim Brotherhood is not an organization of a few thousand people. Hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, are subscribed to it all over the world. What are you going to do to these people? I mean, if you really make them feel as if they are not wanted, they are, some kind of dangerous individuals, where are they going to go? I mean, you're really stirring a backlash against, not just demonization. I think you are encouraging the Islamophobes and the racist thugs to go up to and find these people, and also the likes of CC would feel encouraged and emboldened by this.
Well, there's a lot I do want to discuss about this, but we are going to have to move on to Twitter. Lots of different stories have been trending throughout this week. Let's have a look at some of the things you've been tweeting about.
BBC's Panorama documentary on the running of Tower Hamlets Borough has caused a debate on Twitter. At Red Cable Sunday tweeting that both Jewish and Catholics are behind the mayor. An Egyptian police brigadier general was killed in Cairo on Wednesday. Security sources say a twin bomb attack happened outside Cairo University. At Selva Tatuti tweeting, the bombings are a terrorist act. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas defied American diplomats on Tuesday by unilaterally signing a dozen United Nations treaties, apparently endangering peace talks. At Chloe J. Bonois tweeting, how could this derail peace talks? An earthquake of a magnitude of 8.2 has jolted northern Chile, triggering a tsunami alert and the evacuation of thousands of people from coastal areas. Tweeters have been asking for prayers.
Today it was announced that inspectors will be appointed by the British government to examine allegations of governance failure, poor financial management and fraud in Talha Hamlets Council in London. After a BBC Panorama investigation made these allegations on Monday, the Mayor of Talha Hamlets has denied these allegations, calling them scurrilous and ill-founded. Now, but he has welcomed the discussion.
Yeah.
Right, Talha Hamlets, Mr. Lutfur Rahman here. He's denied the allegations. He's welcomed them to come in to investigate, but he said they're completely ill-founded.
Well, I think everyone in town has watched the programme, and I agree with him. I mean, any accusations that public funds have been used and misused should be examined, and everyone should do that. But I think you can't take that into isolation. Like we had Cameron saying we need to take the terrorist narrative head on. I think there is a kind of a link. There is a link in the sense that Muslims are vilified. Any Muslim mayor or Muslim communities, they are under a microscope. And if you look into any kind of organization where there is a lot of money involved, where there is power involved, you will find some level of at least moral corruption, if not illegality. You'll find some kind of moral corruption. But the point I'm making is that there is this kind of witch hunt, there is this kind of McCarthyism which is kind of gripped the Bengali community, Muslim community in Talha Hamlets. And this is the back on which some of these programs, like the Panorama, is riding on, trying to undermine and vilify. But of course, like the Mayor said, they should welcome any kind of investigation into illegal acts or corruption. That's, of course, without doubt. But there is this sense that there is this vilification, intentional vilification and targeting of Muslim communities, which is quite widespread in Talha Hamlets.
Talha, can I bring you in there? Vilification, McCarthyism, witch hunt.
I may not use those exact terms, but I probably would agree with a lot of it, simply because if you look at the current state of affairs here, you had Law Society recently, SRA in fact, recently commissioned a report which says ethnic minority lawyers are often disproportionately sanctioned. You have, you had the Stephen Lawrence issue still lingering on. And you also have a known issue about Islamophobia and so on. So when apathy towards politics and politicians within the British ethnic minority communities, especially the British Muslim community, is so high, what you would have expected is to celebrate the success of Lutfur Rahman, whether you like him or not, simply because what he has done is absolutely phenomenal when you compare with in the context of the community that he has come from. That has not happened. There are also unanswered questions as to how he was treated by his own party. When we say how he was treated, we're not talking about the individual. I'm talking about the principle of justice, whether those were followed. None of these were followed. So when you have BBC broadcasting something like this literally weeks before the election, this is irresponsible and it's a crime. Not probably in law, but it's a moral crime.
Okay, well, thank you both very much. The Mayor did hold a press conference earlier today on this particular topic. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for this evening. I want to thank both of my guests, Nasim Ahmed and Talha Ahmed, for joining us, and, of course, you at home for watching. Remember to keep up with the Twitter conversation using #TheReport. We'll be following stories throughout the week, so do keep tweeting. If you prefer, you can email us your thoughts on the report at islamchannel.tv, and to watch previous programmes, go onto our YouTube channel at /IslamChannelTV. But for now, we'll leave you some scenes from Japan. This week, a case was brought to the International Court of Justice by Australia on Japan's whaling programme. Despite an international whaling moratorium force since 1986, Japan continues to catch whales in the Antarctic under a treaty that allows unlimited whaling for scientific research. Critics say the real reason for the hunt is to continue harvesting whale meat. Do tune in on Tuesday night for your midweek edition of The Report. But until then, from all of us here, Assalamu alaikum.